This isn't a question, but it's an idea for Tess's idea of writing about stories. What if, like, maybe on the Hacker League website, but anywhere, there could be like a blog site where anyone could write their own blogs and it would have all of that. Just an idea.
Major League Blogging.
Major League Hacking blogging.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna like shill something I've been working on for a second. I have a collection on Medium that anyone can contribute to. Jeff posts in it all the time. He writes great stuff. And there's like 400 people who follow it at this point. So it's called Hackers and Hacking. So it's like medium.com/hackers-and-hacking. Yeah. I will, yeah. And so it has like 400 followers, which means that anytime any stories get added to it, they get pushed out to like 400 people pretty much automatically, which is kind of awesome. So that's definitely one place. Like I personally have been trying to like curate a lot of stuff and get a lot of stories that different people have been telling together. And it's also like a good way to get your stories heard. So.
Right. I really want to tell the story of the MHAX bus from Boston to Michigan.
Write it.
Anyone was there.
Write it. I'll post it. If you want someone to proofread it, let me know. Like, let's do it. Thank you.
Hi, thanks. This is a question to Jeff. So I was on the design team for Hackett Brown, and just wanted to ask you about how do you go through the logo process as committee? How do you design by committee? And how do you collaborate? What tools do you use, Facebook or something else?
Right. So I was actually talking to the Hackett Brown team yesterday, and I was informed that you guys have 10 designers by collaborating with RISD, which is just insane. We actually are kind of figuring this out right now, how to scale our design. In that, I guess I'm the only designer really on our team right now, but we're even working on a style guide. This might be a great place to start, where I can say, use these colors, these hex codes, these fonts in everything you do, and that way, even if someone's not a designer, they can do things in line with, the main branding goals. And the visual style there that'll keep your brand consistent throughout, and that'll allow that to scale and delegate some of the design or branding tasks. It could be a good place to start. What? Oh, sure. I guess this is a general organization question for our team. We have recently adopted Asana. So BitCamp is broken down into 5 organizing sections: marketing, sponsorship, logistics, event planning, and student relations. So as the marketing lead, I work with Jose on social media, and I work with Zach Fogg on the website, and branding comes back to me most of the time. But we can delegate tasks on that and assign people across different sectors to carry some of the weight. So definitely, Asana's been pretty great to us so far. So yeah.
This is for Tess. So what do you think about telling hackathon stories through video? Like they debuted yesterday on Root TV.
I'm so stoked to see that. That is so awesome. Like the more different people want to tell stories in different ways, people want to consume stories in different ways. So let's do it. Let's do whatever we can to celebrate what people are building. It's amazing. I'm so excited to see where it goes.
Hi, this is directed at Nina. When you pick so I guess my question is, how do you pick who goes into the accelerator? Is it the winners from Penn Apps? Is it UPenn people who want to go into the accelerator? Is it an application? Because we found that when people win, it doesn't necessarily mean that they want to continue on.
Yeah, so we actually didn't pick the winners of Penn Apps. So we had a separate application process. People who hadn't even created their hacks at Penn Apps, people who were just working on side projects by themselves could also apply as long as they had at least one member who was a Penn student. And then in terms of choosing the startups that went on, it was a lot of it was actually how much we felt like we could help them. So depended on where they were in their process. And so for example, if they were still developing stuff, maybe we couldn't give as much support on that end as we could to maybe the business development side of it or something like that, or if they wanted mentors in the industry or something like that. So we knew kind of where our core competencies were, primarily in the connections that we had because of Penn Apps and the mentorship we could offer on that side. And so we tried to strive for teams that we felt we could add the most value to.
Hey, this question's directed at Tess. So what do you think that we could do as hackathon organizers to help, tell these stories? because we can, like have people come and record video and take pictures and have people like you come and write about the stories. But I want to know how we can like get these stories out there and not just have them like on the internet, but make them like viral and help other people see these stories.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really that's the question, right? And I wish I had an answer. And I think that like getting people to sort of set an example of what really good stories are is really valuable. So like getting whoever's taking photos, whoever's writing, whoever's shooting video, like getting people to do those things is like you're like setting an example. And then I don't know like where we go from there, and I don't know how we instill this like in our culture. And that's like one of the things I'm trying to figure out.
Yet again, I feel like I'm that guy, but I kind of have a serious question. So, given that a lot of what we've seen this weekend, and particularly what your kind of chart showed about people valuing kind of the education element of hackathons the most, I'm curious what all of you kind of think the cultural impact is of kind of putting this focus on building businesses at hackathons rather than on education.
Okay, I'll start this off. So that kind of ties into BitCamp's branding, where we honestly are still figuring out like how we want to judge stuff or how we want to do demos. But that comes secondary to this core message of building on your passions and building something you love. And I think that's a great place to start. Whether it becomes a business, whether it becomes a live site that others can use, whether it's just a project for the weekend, when you're building something you love, you'll do what you want to do with it. So whether the future is a business or if the future is just winning BitCamp, that doesn't really matter to us as much because it matters to you. And we know that as hackers or campers, that you will carry it on however you see fit, and that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, no, I think definitely first and foremost, it's about building something you're really excited about, working alongside people that you feel like you can learn from and are excited to build with. Oftentimes, like these projects, they kind of like have a natural progression to being a business if they're supposed to be a business, right? And I think what's great is there are resources and places that you can kind of tap if you want to then go and do next steps. So accelerator programs and things like that can be the natural kind of progression. But I think first and foremost is just make sure you come away with something that you're proud of and that you're excited about and that you want to then go and tell stories about. Because I think that is like the biggest testament to if you're really passionate and excited about what you're working on, you want to share that with others, you want to share that with your community. And I think to the extent to which you can come away from a hackathon having accomplished that, I think that's been a great weekend.
I've been to a lot of hackathons. I've been to like 15 hackathons. I've built a lot of cool stuff. And the only thing that I ever got any like press or recognition for was the thing that sort of turned into a business that like I ended up making money off of. And that was like the only thing that I have built that's been like celebrated. And so I think that like one of the messages that I'm trying to get across with this idea that like we should like talk about hacks and like celebrate hacks for the sake of the hacks themselves is like really, really part of, like I want to see hackathons continue to be about hacks and not to be about building businesses. And that's like, and I want to see them be about learning and not about winning. And so like, I'm just trying to, like, I want there to be ways to celebrate those aspects of it. And I think, not to just keep going back to storytelling, but like, I honestly think that talking about these things is like one of the best ways to celebrate them and reward people.
To add on to what Tess said, I exited MHacks and wrote a blog post about my project called Face Toaster. And it was really fun. And people came up to me and they said, Jeff, are you like gonna continue building this? Is this gonna be a startup? Is this going to be, just a hack and display site? And we weren't really thinking about that at all, but by telling the story of our simple hack, it did get at least a response. It's, this isn't viral by any means, but
there's a Face Toaster shirt in the back.
It got people to ask us stuff, and it made us think about next steps. So maybe by telling stories, this isn't a way to fish for any sort of compliments or funding, and VC backing. This isn't by any means on that scale, but by telling the story, you elicit some response, and then that allows the conversation to keep going. So it's again, a place to start.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. I think what we're trying to do is more we're not saying the accelerator is for every single app that goes through Pen Apps, but I think for maybe a subsection of it, you do want at some point see your passion be shared with as many people as possible, and to offer those resources to allow you to do that, I think is still a very crucial part of the hackathon experience. So
Thank you guys. Can we get another round of applause?